Amen and praise the Lord.
Well, that's a great way to start the show, Orrin. Welcome everybody this week out there live on social media and watching tonight to our town hall for Rebuild California. It's really been an exciting week, and I know I probably say that quite often because it seems like every week is an exciting week. But Orrin's going to talk about in a second about an amazing rally that was Monday, where I think there was close to 5,000 people. We've got another rally coming up next week. We'll get there, Orrin. Minimum of 5,000 people. There may have been 1 million people, but who knows? There was a lot at Sacramento. But I really want to start tonight's show by talking about what I did. And the reality
it's all
is,
about you, Mike.
Well, it's always all about me, Orrin. You know that, but I'm not shy about that. At least I go on record saying it's about me. I meet people.
Hey, did Lana smack you upside the head or what? Because your glasses are a little skewed.
No, you know my brain.
I got to get you some new glasses. We got to go to Costco and get you a new set. I got a couple pairs right here for you. Huh?
Well, with what you pay me at 99 cents a pair, I can afford those. Wait, I'm not paid to do this. But here's something that is really amazing. Sunday night, and I don't know that Sky Jones is watching right now. Sky Jones had a really fabulous event, and I really mean that. And I go to a lot. Orrin and I go to a lot of events.
Sky Jones is an amazing activist and a proponent for what we do. Yes,
absolutely. And it was for the Hispanic community, and there was a really great mix of people there from all ethnicities, etc. Our friend Moses was there, actually an official member of the Republican Party. And I want to out there for everybody to say, in a year and a half, Orrin and I have been doing this. We certainly have received a lot of grief, but not many awards. And I was really proud as anything to get this award. Orrin and I both got one, or yours is in the mail, for basically just our patriotism. And I want everybody out there to know how much we really appreciate it. But the major thing I got out of Sunday night was someone else who got an award, and her name is Carmen, and she's there with us tonight. Carmen Estelle, she's our guest. We talk about bringing California together, and we know that the left, if you will, really tries to separate everybody into groups because it's easier to keep control with a false sense of values. And it's rare that I say this, but I met someone representing Lexit, who I was very impressed, and I've told her this already, not to make her blush, what she had to say, the way that she phrased so we can bring movements together. And tonight I really want you to listen, because Lexit is a movement that is not only helping the Latino community, but it's a movement that we need to unite with and understand better. And I don't mean understand racially better. Rebuild California wants to unite and move forward as we open up these pop-up tents across California, as we educate people on why they should not vote Republican necessarily, but vote for the things which are true to their values. And I think that gets lost a lot today in the divisiveness we have in America. I am very, very pleased to introduce tonight's guest. And as you saw in the pregame videos, if you will, tonight is about Lexit. And Carmen, the floor is yours to explain to us a little about Lexit and tell us a little bit like when you got that award, some of the wonderful things you said, which kind of, to me, boil down to the essence of why the Latino community should think twice about just voting Democrat. Welcome to our show.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can see you. You look great. Okay. Thank God you have an American flag behind you.
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Always. Hello, and thank you so much, Mike and Orrin, for having me tonight. It was such a pleasure to meet you, Mike, on Sunday for the first time. And, you know, we honor all of the hard work that you're doing throughout California. So, you know, thank you for that. And yeah, you know, Lexit, you just watched Jesse Holguin, the founder, speak about why he was inspired to start Lexit, the Lexit movement. And I think his story is extremely inspirational. And so when he asked me to jump aboard a few months ago, I was like, absolutely, I would be honored to be a part of your organization. And so I'm currently the national director for Lexit, and I'm overseeing all of the different chapters and some infrastructure and stuff like that. And we have chapters and members all the way from California to New York State. So we're nationwide. We're a rather large organization as far as our followers, supporters, members, stuff like that, and then our chapters as well, and growing all the time. So we're very proud of that. But we do agree that we need to be working together with organizations. And I was honored and humbled to receive an award just for being an influencer in the Hispanic community. But really, I just, like I said on Sunday night, I feel like I am just doing what I'm called to do by God. I'm just being obedient. And I don't feel like I deserve an award for anything. Really, I just am doing what I'm called to do. I couldn't do anything else. So if I get an award for that, great. If not, that's okay too. I'm still going to keep doing it. But yeah, so our mission is to get the Latino community to understand that they're being manipulated and lied to, because Latinos in general are so extremely morally conservative, right? So it's very confusing to me and so many of us as to why they always, the majority of the time, will vote far left liberal. And especially in today's climate, the liberal climate is extremely far left and extremely insane. So, we talk to them, and I think this is what you were alluding to. One of my talking points when I'm discussing these issues with my Democratic friends or my Hispanic friends or Catholic liberal friends, I always ask them, how do you justify voting for this far left liberal ideology? And their answer is always the same. Their answer is always that Democrats take care of the little people. Democrats will take care of the poor people. They take care of the little people. That's always their answer. And that's really the only reply. That's really the only main reason that they will vote Democrat. And so my reply and my biggest talking point to them is that if Democrats are not willing to protect and take care of our littlest people, which are our people in the womb that God made, why would they take care of people once they are out of the womb and eventually become a nuisance to society, or need things, or need money, or need food, or need jobs, or need anything? If they're not willing to protect and take care of life at its simplest, most innocent form that's not bothering anyone, why would they protect or take care of your life once you're actually outside in the real world? So that is my main talking point. And they're usually like, that's interesting. I never thought about it that way. But I think a lot of people should use that talking point, because that really is that's the key element. And a lot of Latino voters don't understand what goes into voting when they're voting for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Latino vote makes up about 30% of the registered voters in California. It's an amazing block, and I really hate to speak of people in one demographic, right? But the reality is registered Latinos, it's 30%. And I know one of the things, we'll talk about one of the things your organizations do to simply turn out more of the Latino vote even. Because as we said in the recall, although we assume, or it's assumed by the press, the LA Times, a very reliable source or not, that the Hispanics will vote a certain way, that isn't necessarily true. So maybe talk about some of the outreach programs, and again, how people can get a hold of Lexit, because like I told you, I'm aware of it. I've actually met Jesse a couple times, but it's hard to get my arms around, I want to get a hold of Lexit. Well, go here, do this, because I know I've dealt with various chapters like down in San Diego.
Yes, so we do have a San Diego chapter, an Orange County chapter, an official Inland Empire chapter, and then chapters all across the United States too. But if you want to get a hold of us, it's lexitmovement.us, very important, .us, that's on the web, or Lexit Movement on Instagram. or Real Lexit on Facebook. Those are probably the two main ways that you can get a hold of us, but you can always, reach out on the website or reach out to me or reach out, I'm Carmen Lexit Director on Instagram. I don't have Facebook anymore. So hello, everybody in Facebook land. I was banned a year ago. So, you get to see my smiling face one more time on Facebook.
Carmen,
But
do you have an email?
Yes. So I would suggest for anybody that wants to reach out to us on our website. There's a contact us form that goes to Jesse and the team. And so then it can be filtered out to whoever is, the relevant person that needs to be filtered to. So if you go to the lexitmovement.us, you can fill out the contact us form, and then we get those emails. And then if you're in New York City or if you're in Florida, depending on where you're at, we can then direct you to the proper chapter closest to you if need be. So
And
I think
Steve
that's
did us a favor and put that in the chat for everybody else that's listening now.
Yeah. So that's you can reach us on Instagram, Lexit Movement. You can reach us on Facebook, Real Lexit, or again, lexitmovement.us. It's very important that you put in the US, but we're just mostly our presence is online and educating people online. And we have different influencers all over the United States that will go, some speak in Spanish, some speak in English. And we have different influencers that are constantly bringing news and awareness to their communities, their local communities that they influence. So that's probably our main way of outreach. And then of course, whoever's able to, the different influencers or myself, will go and do speeches, we'll go and talk to churches, we'll go and talk to whoever we can talk to, and get involved in campaigns and stuff like that, and just be boots on the ground, be feet on the street at rallies, and be talking to people about why you should educate your Latino brothers and sisters on the real issues and that they really are being manipulated. And if you start to just, go down the list of the different moral beliefs that the Latino community have, they definitely align with the conservatives, and they don't even realize that, but they're voting.
You might not want to say that too loudly. Otherwise the Democrats might start funding the wall. Because as soon as they realize they're letting conservatives into the country, I think the Haitians are as well conservative, and they're turning them away by the tens of thousands.
He didn't help Cuba. Did you notice that Joe Biden didn't help Cuba? And Cubans are the one little facet of the Latino community that largely vote conservative, a little bit more than they do Democrat. So if you notice, Joe Biden didn't really help the Cubans, when they were having that crisis, and they still are in crisis, of course. But yeah, you're right. It's like, once we start to turn the tide, and the important thing is, I say this to everybody, it's whether you're black, white, pink, brown, whatever color you are, and whoever you identify as far as race, the Latino movement, as far as turning the tide in the Latino community, Lexit and these other Latino outreach movements are the most important in the nation. Like, we believe Lexit is the most important in the nation because our goal is to shift the mentality of the Latino voter. And if we could do that, we believe that we could shift the entire country. Now, of course, we have to have fair elections. So that's one more obstacle. We have to make sure that our elections are sound and fair. But aside from that, if we could turn the Latino mindset and have them understand that they really should be voting with their faith over their fears, which right now they're just voting so they don't get deported. That's what they think, but it's all a lie, right? So if we got them to vote with their faith, with their moral compass, and where they really want America to be, they would never, ever vote for a Democrat, probably ever again. So that's our real mission. We just are chipping away at that mission and slowly making headway. But yeah, I mean, it's a mission for sure.
I think that's one of the most important things I heard you say Sunday too, was faith over fear. Because it seems, especially in California, we're afraid of running out of water. We're afraid of this. We're afraid of that. People are afraid of crime. People are afraid. And we, of course, need 1,700 new laws to make them afraid. And if you don't vote for them, even when you do, they're going to make them more afraid. So help us with part of, I hate the word narrative, but the story, if you will, right? Because I live over towards La Puente, right? And most Hispanic people that I know really do think like us. They want, good jobs, go to work, bust their butt, do whatever they're doing hard. How do we help craft that message for the middle? It's kind of funny. I came back from a gathering this weekend, and to be candid, many of the old people like me, of white color, if you will, or some of my friends, my Hispanic friends were like, can you agree with conservatism? Why some of my old other friends were like, no, you don't understand. I want to make sure that we craft them, we know, how do we get the message across, I guess is the best word. And what is Lexa doing besides online presence that we can help you with to get the narrative and message across? Because I know that's one of your main roles.
Right. Well, first I saw somebody posted in the comments, I just saw something pop up that said lexitmovement.org. That is not our movement. So that's why I keep emphasizing it's lexitmovement.us. Very, very important. .us. That's the only real Lexit. If you don't see this logo, it's not us. So so it's lexitmovement.us. If you don't mind putting that one up instead of .org. I don't know what that is.
So let's put that up. And also that's the same probably with the Twitter account that we're talking about.
Steve, make it happen, would you, my friend?
Steve, I'll buy you a coffee. So yeah.
So, hey, Carmen, if I can ask,
please
give us a little bit of background with you. Where I don't need to know exactly where you are, but where in the world are you located? California, Middle California, Southern California? Where is Carmen in the world, and where did you come from?
I know. Where in the world is Carmen San Diego? People always say that to me. I'm actually just north of San Diego, and I'm in Orange County. So yeah, I'm in Southern California, born and raised Southern California girl. And I love my state. The thought of so many people fleeing my state is sad and terrifying. And I've thought about it myself. I have to admit, I've thought about leaving. And it's just, you just don't get better weather than Orange County and San Diego. So, I mean, there's a whole lot here: family, friends, life, career, all of that stuff, passions, just, born and raised almost half a century in a place. You don't want to leave it. And I love California. It really is the best place in the world to live, except for the politics, and except for the gas, and except for the laws, and except for the high prices on everything, including housing. So if we could just fix some of that stuff, then, more people would stay. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me. I've been a freedom fighter for several years. And I actually started in medical freedom with these tyrannical vaccine laws that were coming down the pike several years ago. And just thought it was not a good idea to start going down that road. And here we are today, where they're mandating the COVID vaccine for children. And they're using the fact that we mandate all of these other vaccines for children. Therefore, what's one more? And this is exactly what we warned about 5-6 years ago. We said, listen, just because you're okay with these MMR, polio, and chickenpox vaccines today doesn't mean that you're going to be okay as parents later on when they start adding new vaccines that maybe you don't want for your children. So you should never be okay with a mandate. You should always be okay with the choice. And not a lot of people understood it at the time, but now that they're mandating the COVID vaccine, it seems like people kind of understand, like, oh yeah, this is what you've been talking about for 6 years, that one day they're gonna put a law or a mandate in place that you don't agree with, and it's gonna be too late at that point. And that's where we're at today. So I've been in this freedom fight for a very long time, and now it's freedom of speech. It's all the freedoms. It's not just medical. It is so many freedoms at risk. And as you know, the censorship is terrible. I've been booted off of Facebook. I've been booted off Instagram and shadow banned and stuff there. And even Venmo and PayPal and GoFundMe. You wouldn't believe the amount of companies that have censored and banned me.
Trust us, Carmen.
We probably have a pretty good idea.
What you've been
yeah, it's unbelievable. I'm like, innocent me. I mean, do I look like a terrorist to you? Do I look like a white supremacist Nazi to you? I mean, this is what they call me.
Well, we apparently do, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah, you guys are definitely Nazis, but not me. So,
which actually is another, as you and I talked before, in terms of spreading the word outside social media. Yes. Social media is important, and a lot of people watch us on social media tonight and continue to do so. but we need to get to outside the groups that are already believers. And the reality is, and many in the Hispanic community, like a lot of other people, they have jobs and they don't spend all day trolling on Facebook or Instagram, and usually belong to the groups that believe anyway. So for a lot of the things we're doing, and pro-choice, not anti-vax for the reporters watching this, the pro-choice that we talk about, like the rallies that we do, if we want people to come out and speak about Lexit, are you the one to do it in Southern California?
Or Northern California, if we have something going on.
Hey, don't be greedy. I got my own problems.
Hey, well, yeah, you know what? We got to talk about this.
It's like, we got more people.
Yes, so
or Northern California, but the reality is, we do want to spread the Lexit word and help you grow disciples.
It's a complex question. You have to let her answer.
No, I want to keep talking. Go ahead. We used to call the show Words and Edgewise, as you can figure out why. Go ahead.
You have to have a sharp knife to cut your way into the conversation.
I know, it's okay. It's okay. I don't want to get off track either. So yes, I am one of the representatives that is, considered an influencer, and I do speeches and rallies and stuff like that. And I do a ton of interviews. So I would be one of the people that would show up at events on behalf of Lexit. We have other people too. We have other influencers up and down California and all the way across the United States. So depending on where you're at, we would try to have somebody close to you attend, or if I could, fly to Sacramento or whatever, then I would. It depends on, if I'm available, of course. But yeah, so this is what we do. We get out as much as we possibly can. Jesse's doing a couple of events this week too. Like, we're all right now, I feel like, and I'm sure everybody feels the same, that there's a cause and something new, a shiny object coming at you from 50 different places every single day now, right? We almost don't even know which fight to fight first. It's just unbelievable. So
trust me, I wish we had talked with you folks, with you and Jesse about 9 or 12 months ago.
I know. But so, to answer Mike's question in another way, is like, we believe the churches are a great place to reach the Latino community. Not every, like you said, not every Latino is on social media and, paying attention and whatever. But if we can get in the churches, and I think just now, like, it seems like the last 6 months, the churches are finally waking up to the fact that they made a huge mistake in taking politics out of church completely. And they it's a huge mistake, and they're all afraid of their 501c3 status, and I get it. However, they actually can talk about politics in church. You're just not supposed to fundraise for a candidate. If you do fundraise for a candidate, you're supposed to report it as tax money. So
yeah. We'll deal with all that crap.
But you know what I'm saying? This is why the churches say, this is why they say that they're not getting involved. But it's actually not true. It's not accurate. You can talk about
head in the sand.
Yeah, they're burying their heads in the sand. I've called out some pastors for this politely or even unpolitely during the whole recall process, for example, because they're supposed to be standing up for the people. And there's the whole thing about they're afraid of the 501(c)(3) status, etc. But in terms of, as we work together, because we have, I'm sure you're in the Calvary chapels, et cetera, we want to definitely get throughout Los Angeles. And it is amazing. You have a good point. I think that we forget a lot of the time. There are a vast number of churches. And when it comes to penetration, of the word of Lexit, or the word basically of conservatism and Rebuild California, we do tend to focus on the large congregations because it's easy for us, right? But there's a pretty big network of churches with, 100 to 600 members. And you certainly have a limit. Do you guys, are you planning any kind of disciple training program? We want more of you. And you may be sorry you met me on a Sunday night because,
because you're going to start holding our feet to the fire now. Right. Yes. So yes, to answer your question, yes, we want to do more discipling type of work, especially at the churches, because that's where you can find so many Latinos, right? They're at church. A lot of times they're at church. So that's one way to get out there. and maybe even markets like swap meets and stuff like that. You can have a kiosk there and start talking about this stuff at markets. So as we grow our chapters and we have more members, then we have more people to put at these locations. And so really each chapter can do its own thing. Like we say, hey, you find things that you feel are relevant to your county and your city and your area, and then go do those things. And so it's a number of things. It's rallies. It's, you can have a kiosk anywhere or a booth, just on the beach, go talk to people anywhere, right? Because really this movement's not just important to Latinos. Yes, we're trying to change the Latino mindset and their hearts and get them to understand to vote for their faith over their fear, but it should be important to everyone. Like if every single person, every single Republican focused on the Latino vote, we could turn everything like that. Like every white person, everybody. So it's really important. These people are conservative and they don't even know why they're voting liberal. It's just like this simple switch that we could make if they just have a little bit of education. So it's dropping off flyers. Go ahead.
As soon as you unpeel the onion, you can't unsee the inside. You can't put the peel back on it.
Yeah.
As soon as you can't unsee the truth.
Right.
Once your eyes have been opened. And I'll tell you what, Carmen, you and Lexit are operating on the same principle that the same management system that Mike and I have utilized over the last 2 years to bring this recall of Governor Newsom to the ballot. Okay. Now, mind you, we didn't get exactly as far as we wanted to with the election, but it was our job to put it on the ballot, and we did our job. We did what we were supposed to do. It was the largest ever attempted petition drive in United States history, and we achieved that. We achieved that through exactly what you're talking about, by empowering people in their own communities. And the what you said with the markets and the flea markets and things like that are going on in their communities where people are gathering. That's where we need to reach out, and that's where this groundswell movement comes together. The Lexit movement, our movement to rebuild California, and the nation. We come together under the same umbrella with the same mission. We pull our resources and we fight for one another. And It doesn't matter. As soon as you cross that border, we all are red, white, and blue. Our race, our ethnicity, our culture becomes one.
And I think that's important to note too. One of the things, Carmen, I know I've talked with you, that we're throwing out as we reopen what before were recall pop-ups or rebuild California. And Carmen, offline, I'd like to maybe even do a virtual conference, because that's what we do.
I think we're going to have many conversations with Carmen as we go forward, because
I found her.
I feel like we have a new friend in the
I
world.
found her. She's in Southern California.
You're going to fight over
Yes,
you look
did,
at your own person. No,
you stole Lisa from me. I'm taking Carmen north.
Good luck with that. He says.
Hey, Oren, I'm admiring your butterfly amethyst behind you and your amethyst ball. I think that's an amethyst ball. It's purple. And you've got your singing bowls.
It's significant.
What's going on back
I was
there?
born on February 5th, and both of my children were born on February 5th.
Okay.
A year apart. They're not twins.
Oh, wow.
So we're all Aquarius.
Okay.
Oren did not make that himself.
Oh, I know he did not make that himself. I know how expensive those are too.
It wasn't that bad. I found it on the way back from a NASCAR race in Arizona. It was about, it wasn't that expensive.
You told me you found
definitely
it.
Cheaper that way.
Wait, you told me you found it for under $950 in Walgreens.
In Arizona, Mike.
Oh, sorry. They have laws there. I forgot.
That would be great if they sold those at Walgreens. Wow. No,
Well,
anyway,
thank you
I
for
was just
noticing. I appreciate that.
wow, he's got a lot of the same stuff that I have in my house. I've got all those goodies.
I have the wife's chakra bowls, and they're all presents for the wife.
Okay, well, now let me change this back from a Martha Stewart segment to a political segment. Okay?
Getting back on track, and Oren brought in a wonderful little segue for something that's happening at the state capitol on the 28th. The state is wanting to take the power away from the people and make it harder for a recall. So folks, join us at 11 a.m. at the state capitol. Oren, you want to say a little bit more about that?
I would, and I appreciate that intro, Tim. So the legislature is trying to take away our ability to self-govern. They're trying to limit our ability to hold elected officials accountable. And what I'm saying is that they're trying to make the threshold for a recall more. They're trying to increase the number of signatures and limit our ability to recall a government official, but they're also attacking our ability to self-govern through the initiative process. And the initiative process is what this country was founded upon. That's our ability to put a petition out to the public. People sign it. If you get enough signatures, then you can put that initiative on the ballot. Folks, we have the ability to amend the Constitution. We can change laws. We can build dams and reservoirs. We can stop the bullet train if we wanted to. I think it's too far gone at this point. We have to finish at least some of it. But the fact is, we can self-govern through the public initiative process. And this is the biggest threat to the single party super majority in Sacramento. And we have to come together and protect our ability to self-govern, to recall government officials that aren't doing their jobs, and to put public initiatives on the ballot that we can vote for that are important to us, like school choice and, a water initiative that provides good, clean, clear drinking water for our state and the growing population and the agricultural needs throughout the state. So these are things that are important to us that the legislature has turned a deaf ear and a blind eye to, but we don't need them to provide these resources for ourselves. We can do it on our own through the public initiative process, but they're trying to eliminate that or remove it. And the first hearing is October 28th. It's a Thursday, but it's important. I'm hoping that Mike and I will be able to speak as witnesses. I'm hoping that Eric Early, the candidate for Attorney General, is going to be able to come and speak as a witness on our behalf to protect this sacred ground that they're trying to take away from us.
And that's very important to note. As you can see on the feed, and a lot of people know out there, there's school choice out. There's close to 26 other initiatives in the pipeline ready to go live. Not all of them great. So again, we've got to protect our basic rights. Last Monday, the basic right of simply pro-choice, what you want to put in yours and your child's body. I mean, really think how they're eroding away with this. And they say, well, you know what? We're now going to take away your right even to put your own law on the books to recall a public official or make it a lot harder. We're going to make it a lot harder to get direct democracy where you can write laws if you don't agree with what the legislature is doing. It's getting bad, and we have to protect our ability to make it better, which takes me a little bit, Carmen, back to you. And I want to make sure we get this point out here. So if it's school choice, local candidates, rallies that we do, we again, as I've extended an open invitation to Lexit to participate with us. So if you're going to a swap meet, tell us. We can do a pop-up there too. These things help bring people in there and keep them stay at these pop-ups longer, to educate them. And obviously there are causes that we have in common, but I think we agree on most, right?
And Mike, before you cut loose into talking with Carmen, I want to extend an open invitation to Carmen. Come to Sacramento, bring Jesse with you, bring your whole crowd. Let's raise the alarm together and, join forces to protect our rights as civilians, as citizens of this country, to self-govern.
Yeah. Are you talking about for Thursday?
Yes.
It is next Thursday. It's short notice. I know.
It is short notice. I mean, we'll definitely put it out there, you know, make sure if
Yep.
there's a flyer, you guys have a flyer, we post it everywhere. We've got tons
Yep.
of, you know,
There's
so
this, there's lots of other
Tim,
rallies
Tim,
we do,
make
but-
sure Carmen gets the flyer, would you?
I
my
will.
friend?
I definitely
Yes.
will.
Tim, absolutely.
somebody asked if we were working with RNHA. No, we are not associated in any way with RNHA.
Who is RNHA? We don't care. I don't know. Who is RNHA?
It's
We
a
don't want to
chemical.
talk about them right
We don't
now.
want to talk
Okay,
about that.
never
Leave it
mind.
alone. I know who RNHA is.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're in some, I think they're in a little bit of hot water right now, but we're not associated and we haven't been, so.
The reality is Lexit Like Us is a movement of the people. The political infrastructure on both sides again has let us down. It's time again for grassroots organizations like what we saw. Did I mention I got an award on Sunday night, right? What we see everywhere we go, and in fact, a small group I went to early in the day before going to the one I went to Sunday night. We need to make sure that everybody who believes the same and has pockets, we help them grow. I'm not going to use a metaphor like Oren, you know, plant the flower and let it grow. Oren's great at those. Oren, you can figure out why I'm talking here. Oren always has these metaphors about planting something or hitching your boat,
You can't catch a fish unless your hook's in the water, Mike.
which has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm talking about, but it's a word we use all the time.
You wanted a
I
metaphor.
think he's right. He's
Well,
right.
He is right. But never mind. We'll go down a whole rabbit hole before we lose time, which we do quite often. Here's the thing. Lexit carries a powerful name with a powerful story. That powerful story needs to break the narrative of the fact that you must be you're Hispanic, you must be Democrat, that you're this, you must be that if you're the Republican Party, you must not respond at all. I didn't say that. The reality is too that in Los Angeles, where there's a great Hispanic population, it's not that the Democrats are reaching out to them. No one is reaching out to them. There's not a big voter turnout. They're not aware how a lot of these issues affect their lives. This is true of many voters, but this is a relatively large segment that we need to snap the myth on, that people, simply because of how they're born, who they are, what they do, have to vote a certain way. And it's
Now-
time we snap that.
To lend a metaphor to something that you said, Mike,
Here
and
we-
that something that Carmen had said earlier about the vote and securing the vote. Mike, you told me you have to be on the field in order to get fouled.
Correct. And people who
So-
don't, yep, that's a big thing. So there's all this talk about voter fraud. Okay, again, the biggest problem with the recall is voters didn't turn out. I covered
There
last
were
week.
6 million good-hearted Republicans, Democrats, and independents who voted for Donald Trump. And we only secured 4 million votes in favor of the recall.
Correct. We lost because of apathy. Let's be direct here. Okay?
Apathy overrides the fraud.
Correct. And that's the most important. The reality is, if you look at any segment, the Democrats, even that, oh, there's a 60% some odd turnout. Another important thing that we want to help Lexit do before we run out of time here, I want to be clear, is voter registration for the Hispanic community. There are close to 2 million people, about 1.8 to be specific, that are not even registered in the Los Angeles area that should register to vote, that are eligible to vote. And we need to get them registered. And again, the Democrats don't care. They're kind of winning by enough of a margin. And the Republicans, well, they're just not trying in Los Angeles. So the reality is, that's another powerful message we need to get. To Oren's point, my quote, of course, is that you must play, you must get on the field to be fouled. So this narrative of my vote doesn't matter, I'm going to be cheated on, I don't care, NCIS is on, I have something else to do, I can't vote by mail, I can't vote, I can't make it, I have things to do. Cut it out. The reality is this. We as Californians, to protect our rights and protect our democracy on all sides of the political, religious, and political spectrum, must exercise our right to vote.
Yep.
And the reality is, with everything that's going to be going on the ballot very, very soon, if we don't exercise that right to vote, we turn over more of this state every day to the people that don't have our interest in mind. Something else I want to add, Carmen, as we draw to a close, a narrative that needs to be broken. This narrative that the Republicans are the party of the rich. Now, Orrin obviously could afford that fine statute behind him, but outside of that, most the Republicans that donate are not incredibly rich. But oddly enough, if you look at Newsom's donors that got flushed out during this recall, it's the rich infrastructure, the George Soros, the Netflix,
the Reed Hastings,
the
and
residents, the Reed Hastings, the
Yep.
mega rich want to keep the Democratic Party supported.
the union mob bosses.
The union mob bosses who don't have the interest of the everyday person in mind.
They're not, and don't make the mistake. They are not fighting for the people. They're fighting against the people, folks. This is a groundswell movement. And Carmen, bringing it back to you. I'm sure Mike's going to give you a moment to wrap it all up, but I just want to thank you very much for coming aboard. And, I'd like to have a conversation as we go forward. I think that there's a path to success when we work together.
Amen. Yeah, I will, there's a few things that popped in my mind, but I know we don't have a lot of time. So just, a lot of people that I'm hearing also have lost confidence in the GOP. So even if we turn the tide in the Latino community or any community, there's so much confidence that's been lost the last couple of years that a lot of people are saying they just don't want to vote anymore. They don't care anymore because they feel like it's a complete lost cause. So we've got to do something to revive some hope, and even in us, because honestly, I agree. Like, what is going on here? Who am I even voting for? These people that I'm electing, even our Republican representatives, they're not fighting, and they've been heard.
Yep.
They've been overheard saying things like, well, we don't really have to fight because where are the Republican voters going to go anyway?
We need a powerful leader in the GOP.
Yep.
And I think I know his name.
Okay, well, we can talk offline unless he's on this live right now. But we need some revival. We need some revival all over. We need spiritual revival. We need political revival. We need something to hope for, because obviously the Democrats are leading us into hell, and the Republicans aren't really fighting, and they're not really fighting or trying as hard as they should be or could be at all, in any way, shape, or form at all. So now people are really losing their confidence. So it's like, what do we do? We're steering them towards, we're steering them away from an iceberg, but onto a rocky shore. What are we doing?
Yep.
No,
So
here's
I
what
think
we're
that Carmen is going to be a permanent fixture with this team. And Carmen, I like I said, I feel like I have a new friend in the world. I'm so glad you were able to join us.
Well,
Thank
Orrin,
you.
I want to go officially on record before we end the show saying you're not stealing Carmen, but we'll talk about that. Anyway, here's the thing. What we're doing, Carmen, and for everybody out there, is we're not saying go Democratic, go Republican. We're not saying we're leaving you out there. We're bringing you together. It's time, people of California, if we're going to rebuild this state, we stand up and be in this together. Again,
Amen.
it doesn't matter what party you are. It doesn't matter what diversity you are. It doesn't matter what religion you are. Everybody wants the same thing, and that is a decent state where we have rights to live in. With that, God bless, rebuild California. I will see you all next Thursday for those who can be there, and many of you before. Thank you very much. Rebuild California, because remember, no one else is going to do it for you. Thank you and good night.